Hi there, welcome back to the Dylan Rounds case. Welcome if you're currently here in the live premiere, I appreciate it. Today we're continuing on with the latest talk of the case. We're looking at additional information which is shared by Corey, maybe some of which you've never heard of before, and it does also entail what recently has gone on to do with Jim Terry, looking back at that and then what the responses have led to. I'll be looking at Jim Terry's response in this video. He did leave a comment from last night, so we just see what that's all about. We're also looking at, as for the main part of this video, the supposed call between Justin Rounds and Jim Terry, summarized details in text format from Corey's perspective. Okay, so we're just going to take a look at that today, see what it's all about, see if we can come to a conclusion, develop a better understanding, go from there, right? As well, can also look back at the comments in general from last night's video too, acknowledge those. And in addition, my response to either Ty Corbin or Buster Bretimus when it comes to what's recently gone on as well, or what has continued, or what has escalated, depending how you look at it. So there's a range of stuff we're looking at today, a range of material. So feel free to stick around to understand it all so you don't miss anything. If you have missed out on previous videos I've covered most recently on my channel, don't worry, they should be easy to find on my channel page. I'll also provide a link down below in the pinned comment section for you to check out after watching this video. Now, as we do go throughout, feel free to share your thoughts, opinions, and reactions in the live chat box on the right-hand side of the screen. As for last night, it was very wild, but wild in a good way. It was fine, it was okay. If there's some people out there that felt maybe it was a bit too much or they feel like they need to apologise, you don't. There's no problems, it's perfectly okay. It was funny. It was funny last night, so there's no issues whatsoever there. And if the party or the chaos wants to continue, that's okay for today as well, okay? Of course, shout out to some of the people from last night. I might not be able to remember everyone's name last minute. Shout out to Cleo for her presence at the end. It's very good of her. Shout out to Arkansas. Very good of her. Shout out to Watcher of Crazy, of course, Watcher of Presidents, Watcher of all knowledge upon this earth. Shout out to Guidance as well, very good of her. Shout out to Sheet Shu and anybody else if I did miss their name out in between. Appreciate it, it was very good of them, okay? So candles all around, blessings all over. And it did actually rain earlier on, quite heavy downpour where I'm at. So it just goes to show it's not dry, blessings, foreshadowing, who knows what could happen next. But one thing that is for certain is focus on the Dylan Rounds case and material that is relevant to it, okay? So it could be a bit of a shorter video tonight, just simply because of the timing issues and roadblocks in the background and stuff, but still cover what needs to be covered, acknowledge what needs to be acknowledged, and then we can go from there, okay? So I think to kick things off, we're going to look at the comments of last night's video. It will also be it's like an all-in-one, because when looking back at the comments of last night's video, that's where the comments are about the phone call with Justin Rounds and Jim Terry, summarising it. It's also the same comment section where Jim Terry responded back. Does that make sense? It's like an all-in-one. So when looking at these comments here, yes, it gives time for people to join on into this live premiere, but it does entail as the main part of this video as well. And then later, when I give you some of my additional raw thoughts, I'll speak in front of the camera once again, okay? So for now, let's head on over to the comments, see if there's any questions that need answering, see if there's any additional interesting information on the Dylan Rounds case. One last thing I want to acknowledge, okay? Hopefully Weezer sees and hears this. If she doesn't, if she's joining in late, if there's anyone watching right now that can pass the message on to Weezer. Yes, Weezer, I saw your comments, the range of them on that community post. I will read them out properly, and I will, try and cover it in a video as best as I can. Can't do it right now because of timing, but I'm sure the next video I will be able to do that. Okay, so I do acknowledge, and it's good of you to leave those comments when you had the time to do so. Okay, so now let's head back to the last video and see what went down. So here we are. I'm just going to arrange the comments to the newest, and we get to Jim Terry's at the end. It's at the top, and we just see what's here. There's a couple to go through and stuff, but we just go along with it. Everyone else in the chat, feel free to listen along or just talk amongst yourselves, mess around, have some fun, whatever. Is anyone busy or doing other activities or jobs or whatever? Feel free to listen along if you're able to. Okay. Maybe some people treat it as a podcast. I don't know. But we got Glenn, insert Mr. Consistent Webster. There we go. I try to be there whenever I can. I support your channel. Appreciate that. Good individual for sure. No question. Indiana. Let's see what Indiana had to say. I know we were talking about Dylan Rounds last night, and more so Brenner, regarding possible health issues. Let's just see what's mentioned here. In regards of Criminal Med's comment of Brenner having dementia, 4th the 8th, 2023. Right, okay. Is this like a summary from Mob Crew Chris or something? Okay. It was on last night's video by Mob Crew. Title, LISK, victim identity revealed. What other connections are there? Okay. Then it says, I have not put the link up as often they get deleted along with these comments. Fair enough. All comments were found in the live chat. Timestamps provided. Okay, so that's very good of Indiana to do so. I know it's time consuming to do it, but it's appreciated. And yeah, if it is really important, we can definitely do a more focused, dedicated video of it. And if possible, I'll try and get a hold of screenshots of the original comments and maybe go from there. But we just read it out for now. Like, this is the thing, just as a heads up for people watching, we do go through times, moments, more so recently, where it could be very heavy or deep, and people might get stuck in the mud. Okay, watch her crazy. Well, she's perfectly fine with getting stuck in the mud wrestling. Natural to that. But that aside, it can get a bit clogged up, right? But we always return back to things and focus on specific events. So, they're not going to be forgotten. It'll be fine. So the comment here by Indiana. First timestamp being 29 minutes in. Criminal Med, name of the channel, left a comment in the live chat of Mob Crew Chris saying, I was part of Dahmer Victim ID. What, Jeffrey Dahmer? 30-minute mark or the 31st minute mark. Question to Criminal Med. Are you a medical examiner? 31 minutes in. Criminal Med. No. 33-minute time mark. Criminal Med says, not a med examiner, but part of team identifying parts, especially younger people. 35-minute, 36-minute timestamp. Criminal Med. We have a cadaver team that will be looking more for Dylan in a month. 50-minute mark, Criminal Med says, there is a lot of territory to cover, hoping Brenner talks before his dementia progresses. Tons of minds to check. All credits to Chris, Mob Crew, and Criminal Med. Many thanks. End. Very clear to follow, straight to the point, clear timestamps provided. You've done well, Indiana. I can follow it on in a separate video, even if it's only like 5 to 10 minutes long, give my additional thoughts on it, okay? And also highlight it once again. We've not really seen anyone else talk about this. Would it be a surprise that Brenner has a form of dementia or an early onset form of it? I don't know. Inherited, caused, triggered by anything else, lifestyle? I don't know personally. I think some individual or two were suggesting last night that could the dementia be as a result or Could it explain to why Brenner may think he's done nothing wrong or he plays no part in it because of forgetting or so? I guess it depends how long it takes to kick in and where it's at. At least a comment here is suggesting that before it progresses, so it would imply that Brenner has supposedly already got dementia, but it's not at the worst stage yet. How would this person know though? There is some medical examiner and they're a part of a team identifying parts of younger people. How would that have any link or association with Brenner? Did this individual examine Brenner at some point, or was information passed on to her? But why would it be passed on to her or them? I'm not quite sure. But as I said, if we need to bring it back into the spotlight, of course we can. Just let me know your thoughts in the chat. We could even do a poll right now. If this time, the poll can be, does Brenner have dementia? Yes, no, I don't know. Feel free to vote, okay? We've got someone called Sandra. Shout out to Sandra, new person popping on in, saying, and I think somebody is messed up and can't do their ding drive like the police and firefighter dumb in the first day with. Okay. Badger, question mark. Okay. I don't know if Sandra is responding to a question in my video or a certain named character within the case. I'm not quite sure there. Jarvis Jordan, okay. Some of you will know Jarvis Jordan. He leaves a fair few comments and it tended to be to do with boots on, and that was it. But we'll just see what he's got to say here. Jarvis, crying over money, you crackhead, because Dylan Rounds had money, you bunch of babies. Dylan Rounds had money, you bunch of crybabies. Why wasn't any of the family cry of Dylan Rounds' death? Why so casual about it makes me sick. Why at the last minute? Why okay? You know what? We are going to help Dylan Rounds with the farm. That is right. Listen up, you crackheads. There is going to be no more hitchhikey. We spit on their feet. We are going to finish Dylan Rounds' farm. Who's we? Do you see how it take place? Look how everything stopped because of Dylan Rounds gone missing. I believe it have to do with the lane. That who could do it better and others have gotten jealous, you low-life crackheads. We are going to help Dylan Rounds make his dream come true. It shouldn't stop at all in the first place. We have to get to the bottom of this to piss them off. We have to pin the point to see what is going on. Where is the camera that Dad came up with at the grown site? Did it happen? See, if I was the dad, I'll be out there 24 hours a day. Badger Life saying catching up. Yeah, it seems like there's a bit of catching up to do, isn't there? Jarvis, this shouldn't be a normal talk like if we are at a football game. This is real. We have to see who is the wolf. That guy in jail, that is a setup that look like a setup. Got clear there. We are going to help Dylan Rounds with the farm. In your face, crackheads. We want to see who is the wolf. We have to get everyone round up. Bunch of shoes. Our boots are staying gone. Crackheads, we are going to help Dylan Rounds with the farm. We are going to help Dylan Rounds with the farm. In your face, crackheads. Our boots are staying gone. Our boots are staying gone. In your face, crackhead. Our boots are staying gone, you crackhead. We are disrespecting crackheads out there. Our boots are staying gone. Go Dylan Rounds. We love you, Dylan Rounds. We are on your side. We are going to help with your farm. In your face, crackheads. The boots are staying on. Okay. You say the boots are staying gone. Did they ever leave in the first place? I don't know. Anyway, Corey there. We'll get back to Corey in a second. Let's just finish off with Jarvis. If you ever disrespect crackheads, then make sure your boots are on because they thank otherwise. Our boots are staying gone. Don't ever pick up hitchhikers. Our boots are staying gone. We spit on their feet. Our boots are staying on. Go Dylan Rounds. Go Dylan Rounds. We are going to help you, Dylan Rounds. Our boots are staying gone. Crackheads are there. Boo. Our boots are staying on. Response by Indiana, well, Dylan's boots didn't stay on, did they? No, not really. Corey, my feeling is Dylan did not have his boots or clothes on early in the morning when he was jumped, and that the boots were taken and put by the tool shed and then pitched near the garbage pile later. Jim pitched them. You mean pinched, stole them. When he found them by the opening of the tool shed, he stated that in the documents to his attorney. Yeah. I remember someone saying his trailer door looked like it had been broken into. I presumed it was after, not before Dylan's family turned up. Okay. Jarvis, we love you, Dylan Rounds. We are on your side, buddy. We got Johnny Ripple. What's going on here? Johnny says, you think, Warlight Ref, YouTube has some conspiracy against your channel with less than 10,000 subscribers about a case that almost no one outside of Idaho and Nevada have heard of. The only coverage is from true crime channels that have almost all shown themselves to be run by scumbags and wackos. Warlight Ref, you're a very odd guy. At least you haven't put pictures of up on your Patreon. Subs like that one. Beep. Okay. So, in a way, the way Johnny has worded this, it's not all so negative aimed at me. I do remember Johnny Ripple was negative in the past, but we'll just double check anyway. Most people don't care. Tragedy is aside, flimsy, there was shady. Yeah, maybe they weren't so negative towards me, but they had a kind of a negative outlook on certain things. I mean, first of all, Johnny Ripple, he's only got 1 subscriber, 0 content on his channel from the looks of it, or not much at all. Default profile, basically. Anything to add on from here? So, Johnny, when you said, Warlight Ref, you think YouTube has some conspiracy against your channel, that's not what I'm thinking. I was relaying what other people have suggested, okay? 99% of the time, when something has gone wrong on YouTube, I've instantly thought that YouTube are the problem, that they have messed up. 99% of the time. It's other people that have suggested the possibilities it could be somebody else. As for last night's video, that's what I highlighted and addressed, looking at it from different angles and points of view, not directly coming from my mouth, but what other people have said. Johnny Ripple, it seems evident that you failed to grasp and understand that. Now you're assuming that that's what I truly believe. Incorrect, invalid. Johnny Ripple, make sure to rewind back, look at the previous video and understand the language and wording, because once again, there is another misunderstanding, okay? Unfortunate, right? Anything else? Okay, so highlighting that my channel has less than 10,000 subscribers, okay? Well, within the last year or two, I've gained more subscribers than the year beforehand. I've got 3.6 million views and counting, so I'm doing something right. At the end of the day, the reality is, at some point or another, you'll always have, at some point you will have more subscribers than viewers. You look out there, even PewDiePie. When you got PewDiePie, how many subscribers has he got? Over 50 million, 100 million? Does he get 100 million views though on every video? No, he might get about 1 million to about maybe 15 million, depending how popular the video is. There's always a big gap between subscribers and view count. In the early days of a channel, you could get quite a few views on a video, but you might have a low subscriber count, and that ratio could be considered somewhat okay. Then eventually, the subscriber count goes up, the views may go up a little bit, but then later down the line, more people will subscribe, but they don't always come back, and they don't always remember to unsubscribe. So that keeps totaling up with time and not changing as drastic as the view count, okay? So hopefully you understand that as well. It does happen to many other channels out there, even the big ones. You're basically dismissing and saying that the Dylan Rounds case is a very niche case and people outside of Idaho and Nevada have not heard of it before. Well, once again, Johnny Ripple, obviously you're not in the situation to know about the statistics because you're not a YouTuber and you don't access the YouTube Studio app because there's no need for you to do so because, you know, you're having a default profile. But reality is, when I go on to, you know, the statistics, the analytics, of course, about, I don't know what the percentage is, but the majority, overwhelming majority of people that watch my videos are from the US, okay? And if you break it down in terms of the states, you got like Texas quite high up there. I think you got California as well high up there. One of the top ones was New York, or at least for the cities, New York City being at the top. So once again, Johnny, you think that it's only within the area, local, that people know and will follow the case. That's incorrect. People further afar from different states that do watch my videos and watch this content from further afar, okay? Including other countries as well, like Germany, Australia, okay? At one point, I think it was like South Korea, Indonesia, Philippines, Saudi Arabia, etc. So just remember that once again, Johnny Ripple, bit impetuous there. You say that I'm a very odd guy. I think this is the thing, when random humans pop on in when I've got the black belt or I've got the horse or I'm wearing a cowboy hat, those first impressions, some people genuinely believe that's how I am like all the time. And it's like, okay, that's a bit silly that, isn't it? Calm down. This is what I mean. I think the way humans are out there, not all, but, you know, a couple here and there, I could probably convince these people that I'm actually a gorilla and I'm actually evolving backwards. And eventually I'm going to be on all fours and overdosing on bananas, and people would probably believe that. Yeah, a bit silly, right? But it can happen. What else do we have? Cleo kind of challenged me on a couple of your last videos. Lol, I don't think you meant to. Thank you. You're welcome. Got sunflowers out as well. Good. Corey as well. We'll return back to that in a second. I just wanted to highlight these other comments first of all. Whatever, saying, in my opinion, anyone who thinks the mom doesn't care or doesn't care to find him, shame on you. What was the response? Oh yeah, I'm good. Just so disgusting to hear anyone say anything about the parents. It's just so uncalled for. I hope none of them find themselves in a similar situation. Yeah. Indiana with a comment there. Corey again, whatever. Okay. I'll have to keep track of everything, okay? So I don't forget where we're at. Okay. What does Indiana say here? A what if? What if dementia means that the person no longer realizes the consequences of things they may have already done and may have thought that the person in front of them posed a real physical threat to themselves? What, and retaliated? Maybe. Would that apply, though, to all the times in the past when Brenner has retaliated? You know, because there seems to be a pattern there. Indiana gives an example. On the day, Dylan turning up early in the morning on the 28th of May 2022 to put the grain truck under cover to keep it dry from the rain, whilst Brenner, who was still heavy in sleep, not knowing it was Dylan, waking up thinking it was some thieving intruder, startled him. Yeah, I followed that. So if Brenner does have dementia, then just how long has he had it for, and what effect could this now have on the case? True. Fair points. But didn't Corey say that Dylan never took the grain truck to the grain shed on that day? He didn't get the chance to, and it was Brenner that did it later. Anyway, move on. Candice, who may as well now live to regret her decision not to do a deal with Brenner when it was offered, And could LE have kept this information from Candice in the hope of Dylan not being found? The blame would lie at her door. Speculation only and just a thought. Fair enough. Once again, Indiana making it clear her thoughts, her ideas and concepts, more controlled, better language and wording than other people out there. So that's good. I get that. Response-wise, Tom, I believe what you're saying, that is Mosley. I don't think they have it in for Candice Cooley. Way to go, Indiana. Just speculation. Me old son, just speculation. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what the poll results were about whether you think Brenner has dementia or not. I mean, if it was a situation where he didn't have it, there's still possibilities that he could develop it later. Who knows? That's what I mean. Besides health in general and age, it is kind of a race against time. And if things have been dragged out, delayed, which has been the case, it's not really doing much good on the case itself. Corey, let's look at that now. Corey says, just a noteworthy piece of the puzzle based on what I have shared. Why would a certain person who says they believe it was Brenner then go track down and find and speak with Chase and Robert and know the place that Chase and Robert were and where the phone was and then say it was Brenner? Okay. Tom saying, there are many of us that have been asking the same question for a while. Corey, so glad to hear that, because if I went 50 miles out of my way to go find some guys who I knew and then go directly to a spot where something was found that became imperative in a serious matter, one would come to a clear conclusion that those guys knew how it got there and why. Okay. Based on what I've shared, why would a certain person who says they believe it was Brenner then go track down and find and speak with? Okay. Whatever. Saying Jim Terry is disgusting. How dare he speak of people in the middle of a tragedy? Well, I think with Jim Terry, he kind of has no limits, right? So lack of boundaries, unpredictable, anything's possible type attitude and behaviours to what can happen. Yeah. Tom responding to Corey, you have given us plenty of food for thought before Dylan went missing. Is there anything about the search that we don't know? Also, it has been mentioned that Brenner has dementia. Have you heard of anything about that? Corey responds, I have heard he has liver disease from drinking all his life. That did not come as a surprise, as it's very common for alcoholics. Thanks, Corey. The liver makes perfect sense. Hope we get to trial quick. Corey, well, if you're referring to the upcoming court date, my guess is it will be on possession of firearms and the sentence of that only. The charge of tampering with evidence will be delayed due to lack of clear evidence at this time. So, Corey, when you say that, the charge of tampering with evidence, I've not heard of that official charge in any of the court documents or news reports or by Candice Cooley. Are you referring to June 2nd spring cleaning of those trash bags? Is that what you're referring to? Or are you talking about the boots which Brenner moved from the tool shed to the dirt mound? Is that classified as tampering with evidence? I'd guess so. Just let me know, okay? As said, anyone joining right now, we are going to revert back to some of the comments shortly. I just wanted to get through some for now, okay? Indiana, in response, LISK means Long Island serial killer. So thanks for clearing that up, and thanks to the other people last night that cleared it up too in the chat. Linda, a different Linda, Cleveland, says, thanks Warlight Raf for sticking with Dylan Round's case no matter what others say, Jim Terry and Salty Pancakes. So I appreciate that, Linda. Welcome to the channel. I believe you're a new viewer. It's good of you to leave this comment, and yeah, appreciate that. There we go, Jim Terry. So with that all in mind, we're just going to go back to the bottom and then just read out the comments which I didn't look at beforehand, just to acknowledge those, because they are more important, arguably speaking, okay? So I've just got to try and find them first of all. As I said, Jarvis left quite a few comments. Here we go. Phone call. So everybody watching right now and those in the background, feel free to maintain a level of focus and attention, because what we're supposedly looking at are the details and explanation of what went down between Justin Rounds and the phone call with Jim Terry. The phone call, which was supposed to be private, which Justin Rounds did not want sharing, and then Jim Terry supposedly released it public on a certain platform or something, or behind a certain paywall or so, okay? So we just look at it from Corey's point of view, from what she knows of about the situation, and we can go from there. Take in mind, as a bit of potential backstory, if Corey did pass on information and research to Justin Rounds in the past to try and help solve the case and stuff, then obviously they're probably in like a good relation between each other as for communication. So if Justin Rounds had his share of encounters with Jim Terry and Corey getting on well with Justin, then Justin may have, informed Corey about what happened, okay? Just as a bit of a backstory. Anyway, let's just read it, okay? So Corey says, the phone call to Jim Terry by Justin Rounds was in response to the HP Highway Police stopping Dylan Rounds about 2 years ago in a littering complaint of throwing a can out of a moving vehicle. It was not Dylan who threw it out. It was a person, a passenger with Dylan who did. A littering fine was written and paid. So the recorded LE stop of JT, Jim Terry, made it as content video on his platform. That's what it's in response to. Okay. So I have heard that story before. It is consistent what other people have said. Okay, that's fine. Fair enough. I understand Corey. And it makes sense with Justin, calling up, contacting Jim Terry about it. It's in the past. In a way, tarnishes Dylan Rounds' name and the whole point of Dylan Rounds' legacy and what's actively going on. It's not exactly appropriate. The method and style by Jim Terry portraying it as breaking news and somehow associating it within the missing person case of Dylan, which there isn't really a link in the first place, is kind of clouding over, the atmosphere. So I can understand Justin Rounds trying to set the record straight, and also with the video being shown public or to an extent publicly, I don't think Justin would be too pleased with that. There was some rumour or talk at one point that Jim Terry was trying to sell that footage to somebody. I don't know if anyone bought it or not, but just a rumour, okay? But things like that, it can trigger people. So like Justin Rounds, who is protective of Dylan regardless of the case, or how far things have gone, Justin, defending Dylan's name when Dylan Rounds isn't present to defend himself. I get all that. So that kind of explains so far as for Justin calling up Jim Terry. Let's continue reading. It triggered Justin and many of us. Why? Because it had nothing to do with his death. Justin Rounds reminded Jim Terry that he, Jim Terry, had been fired from Dylan's case and told several times to stop repeatedly continuing with any and all references of Dylan and/or personal content of Dylan Rounds. As he has been told to stop, and was given notice within a few weeks of being hired at the time, that he, Jim Terry, was fired from the investigation of any and all people who may be involved. Okay, so that kind of clears things up. I get that. It makes sense. So, it's good of people like this to summarise it and to give a bit of insight behind it, the backstory and what went down. because most people wouldn't know, because material like that is locked behind a paywall, right? So just one of those things, but shout out to Corey. Let's just see what the responses are. Nice one. Indiana, Jim Terry needs a lawsuit against him. Corey, you said you were interested in why I said a phone call was made late on the 27th by Bridger, Chase's son, to an ex-girlfriend in Montana. Are you still interested? Before I tell you, you tell me what do you think the reason was? Tom, yes, Corey, I listen to every word that you speak. I think Bridger was warning her. Corey, I wish that was what he called her for. Dylan would still be here. Wow. He called to tell her that his dad wanted directions to Dylan's and was crying and said, "You have to go get Dad. He wants you to go get him. Please, please. I lost my mom and I'm afraid Dad is going to do something really bad. And Kurt and Scott are going to kill Dad. Please drive down and get him tomorrow." Okay. Tom, thanks for the help. Info. Does Bridger think his dad did it? Do you realise that some of what you say turns the case upside down? Corey responds back. I'm sure Bridger knows and is afraid to say anything. You have to remember, Chase would beat the hell out of him all the time and slap him up for nothing. He is afraid that Chase will get out of prison and come after him. The ex-girlfriend believes without a doubt that Chase did it and set Brenna up because of what Chase said to her. She also said she is very sure where Chase and Robert dumped Dylan's body. I totally believed her. She took a big chance on telling her side of the story and what took place. As for that text conversation or phone call conversation, as you quoted above, Corey, I'm assuming you passed that on to Justin Rounds. Has it swayed the direction ever since, though, with searches out there, I wonder? I mean, I guess the only positive you could say is Chase Venstra, Aviles, independently, they're on separate charges away from the Dylan Rounds case, but at least they're locked up at this moment in time. Although that's not good enough because true justice has not been served yet in Dylan's name, etc. And that these unrelated charges will be a bit more lenient in terms of prison sentence. So when they do eventually get out, then more trouble could be caused down the line. So I do understand that too. It's a shame how things can't go underway in between, but then again, separate cases, you can't interrogate them for other reasons at the time, right? Unless there's some kind of crossover, kind of like how Chase Venstra included Brenna when in one of the court cases or court hearings previous. Oh well, interesting. Corey, I realise that this information has changed the Brenna tag story everyone has been on. What most don't understand, that kickbacks and hush money from drug trafficking is a massive fact in that area. Right, okay. So this one here and that one there, the quote, I wish that was what he called her for. Okay. You said you were interested on the 27th, Bridger. So Bridger is Chase Venstra's son. Okay. Phone call made to an ex-girlfriend. Is that an ex-girlfriend of Chase, I assume? Yeah. Okay. So, seems problematic. As for Chase Venstra being unstable, I get that because of what we've heard in the past with his background history. Also that time, I think it might have been in Clinton or something, a standoff in 2016. He had a bulletproof vest. I think he had grenades, rifles, ARs, and it was a 10-hour standoff with police. So someone unstable like that can be a dangerous individual, right? Okay. So that was interesting to see. Of course, feel free to take notes, of course. Hopefully this does clear up and answer some people's questions regarding that phone call, mainly between Justin Rounds and Jim Terry. Okay, but it was down to that 2021 dashcam recording by highway police pulling over Dylan Rounds and his friends who were littering previous and supposedly had alcohol on them at the time, but they weren't under any influence though. So hopefully that clears that up. I can understand I said that Justin might be protected of Dylan because of what's gone on and the circumstances, and that it just doesn't link, and trying to change the narrative and paint or portray Dylan in a bad way, get in trouble with the police. I get why Justin would get defensive there, etc. So there we go. Do we need to do a map analysis though of the situation on the 27th, that call made by Chase's son, Bridger? Not at this moment in time, though. I don't think we need to. I think once we've gone over it a few times, right, hopefully people understand, and Corey as well, that, yeah, I've talked about some stuff over and over again, but that's what has led to me remembering it and being able to recall it. So maybe eventually I'll be able to do the same with Corey's comments, right? It's a lot to take in, short space of time, but it's good of her to spend the time to type it up. Okay, so I acknowledge that. So there we go. That answers the main part of this video. Let's just continue on with the other comments we glanced over. Where do we have? Is this the other one? Yeah, Corey. Just a note on the side. Why Jim Brenner was hanging around the tool shed and watching people when he was cleaning garbage up, most likely just to watch and see who was there and thinking he may hear someone say something, a better view and earshot outside than in his camper, no doubt. Ridiculous to think he was doing anything other than that. Okay, interesting. I mean, I wouldn't say it's ridiculous to be suspicious and think, well, it's coincidental how the police are present. It's seen as a crime scene and Brenner is getting on with things and actually bagging things up, right? There's a reason behind that, okay? I can understand what Corey is talking about, though. If Brenner is interested or intrigued by the conversations, you want to get a bit closer. You want to hear what the conversations are, just in case your name is talked about, just in case you need to cover your own tracks or you feel that you might be compromised, whatever the case, right? I get that. Getting close, blending in by doing activities or chores. Now, where were the police directly placed at the time? Were they all gathered tightly around the Grainshed property, or were they a bit further back and spread out? If they were, then why'd Brenner go directly to the Grainshed? Easier to blend in, maybe. But with it being such a sensitive area, possible crime scene where Dylan was taken out inside of the shed, and that's why that supposed biological matter was found within and why that hole was dug inside, right? A true crime scene, you wouldn't go anywhere near it, would you, normally? For Brenner to have that feeling for that entitlement that I am going inside of the Grainshed, a crime scene, and I'm going to get on with stuff, or in the eyes of Corey, blend in and listen into conversations. Brenner felt invincible at the time, and the police allowed it to happen, right? A supposed true crime scene, completely left unprotected, so Brenner could go on in. Now, if Brenner wasn't disposing or hiding evidence, then what was put into those trash bags and where were they taken afterwards? If it was genuine trash, then why was there still cans and rubbish and litter within afterwards? As like what Candice Cooley has said, and like what we've seen from the footage of people that have gone out there exploring the Grainshed property. You get what I'm saying? Depends how you look at it, right? We can do another poll right now, though. The poll can be, do you think that Brenner was disposing of key evidence, June 2nd spring cleaning, or was he just trying to blend in to overhear the conversations by the LE? Let me know which one you think, okay? Anything else? What have we seen that one? Yep. I don't think we've read this one, have we? Just a noteworthy piece of puzzle based on what I've shared. What I would have said. I know we talked about that one, didn't we? Yeah, we've covered that one. Yeah, we've seen that one. Seen that one. Right, there we go. We're on to the final comment, and it's by Jim Terry himself. There you go. I don't know if you want me to read it in a certain voice or not. There's a few capital letters, caps lock. A quote on Facebook from 4 months ago from Rounds that I just saw now for the first time. Walleye Raph cannot get anyone to watch him if not for my name. Have talked to Justin 2 times that in the last month and for their only real video, Dylan and Kurt Wadsworth has a warrant and he's on the run. Told you so. This is why we need closed borders, because of outside pukes like Walleye Raph. I'm a shouty man. I like advertising myself all over. I hope you can see and hear me. I hope you like my dodgy shades, man. Now, of course, that did sound like a broken record, but it's kind of like a symbolism, in a sense. Anyway, we can read it out more formally, and I can respond back to it on the spot, okay? A quote on Facebook from 4 months ago from Justin Rounds. Yeah, I gave the provenance of it, the date, in the previous video. I clearly explained that. I also mentioned it, roughly speaking, at the start of the video. Clearly, Jim Terry, you failed to hear or see that. That's unfortunate. I just saw now, for the first time, Walleye Raph cannot get anyone to watch him if not for my name. Right. So basically, Jim Terry is saying that without Jim Terry, I, Walleye Raph, who started a channel in 2013 and grew and established myself in 2020 before Jim Terry existed properly on YouTube, without him, my channel does not exist. Without him, my channel cannot work. Jim Terry, what is your IQ? Is it about 6 feet deep in the ground or something? What is going on? What an incompetent prat. Use reasoning ability. Oh wait, you don't have any. Well, that's unfortunate. Anything else mentioned here? Have talked to Justin 2 times in the last month and found the only real video of Dylan. Also, Kurt Wadsworth has a warrant and is on the run. Told you so. Why are you saying told you so? You're not telling me directly, though. You might have been, having resistance with other people out there. This is why we need closed borders because of outside pukes like Walleye Raph. So Jim Terry is calling me a puke. Does he mean punk or puke? I'm not quite sure. But to be honest, Jim Terry's comment here is quite tame. Okay, fair enough. We can refer back to other things shortly, but we'll just see what the responses are. 3.6 million views on my channel. How many do you have? Oh. Jim Terry. Walleye Raph, you have 0 views using your own name. We can always compare income on our channels and your channel. Also, you're scared to go live one-on-one with me, so you're a coward and make no money. Well, I don't think the same can be said about last night, though, with all the blessings. You've not been given a candle, have you? That's a shame. Anyway, once again, another incompetent comment by Incompetent Terry. That pretty much sums it up all in one. We'll get back to that shortly. Glenn, Walleye Raph has been around a lot longer than the Dylan Rounds case. I can assure you of that. You should do some research before you open your pie hole in public. Well, Glenn has, summarised that very well. Good of him. I appreciate that. As said, reality is my channel originates from 2013. in 2020, right at the beginning of the year. I covered the Kenny Veach case, completely different missing person case, a case which Mr. X, also known as Mark Terry, said, "Who cares about the Kenny Veach case? Who cares about that missing person?" Oh, well, it shows where your priorities lie. Well done. But yeah, I covered it back then. The channel grew with time naturally, and it was like a slow burner, and it's followed ever since. Simple as. I think I can give some examples shortly on my channel. I'll get to that very shortly, Jim Terry. Feel free to watch along, Jim Terry, so you get a better picture of things. I know you're the type of person that has the attention span of a degenerate millennial or Gen Z individual. Yes, you might be 50 whatever, but, well, maybe 47, I don't know. I can't tell. You look like a face of a goldfish in a goldfish bowl that looks bloated and lost memory. That's unfortunate as well. But at the end of the day, you know, you seem like the type of person to watch something, but you've got better things to be doing, so you skip ahead, you make assumptions, judgments, early calls, which are inaccurate, and you make mistakes, you get things wrong, and Jim Terry, you make a prat of yourself. Let's not forget that time, Jim Terry, where you instantly assumed that because I was covering something to do with Brookie, you thought that I didn't credit you at the time, but I clearly did. It's just that you didn't bother watching the video properly. So you complained, you whinged, you whined, you acted like a little bitch, and then you made a complete idiot of yourself afterwards. See, that's what happens, Jim Terry, when you don't properly watch videos. Your problem, okay? Anything else? So yeah, response to Jim Terry saying 0 views using your own name, Warlight Ref. You get 0 views, and that Warlight Ref's channel does not exist without Jim Terry. Should we have a quick look? Give me a second here. Give me a second. We look at videos here. Should we do the most popular one? So take this in mind. Jim Terry, a title with Jim Terry's name in it, the tagline with Jim Terry's name in it, the thumbnail with Jim Terry's face in it. How many views does it get? 769. How fitting. Let's see what my most popular video is. Oh, dark ambient Viking warhorn sound 5 years ago. Strange female voice captured on Kenny Veach M Cave Hike video, 159,000 views. Dark Ambient Viking Warhorn 2, 157,000 views. Dark Ambient Horn, 127,000 views. Strange Activity at M Cave Mine, 119,000 views. Proof that Kenny Veach is alive, CCTV footage, 93,000 views. 80,000 views, 76,000 views, 73,000 views, 61,000 views, 37,000 views, 37,000 views, 36,000 views, 32,000 views, 28,000 views. What about the short section? You know, what about that? You know, surely I covered a short video on Jim Terry, you know, because without Jim Terry, I get 0 views. Let's have a quick look, just a small look. Oh, Viking Warhorn, 66,000 views. Kenny Veach Update, 52,000 views. What's that one? Gameplay, For Honor, funny cutscene, 36,000 views. Rainbow Six Siege, 11,000 views. Oh, I've noticed a pattern, Jim Terry. Not a single one of these videos is about Dylan Rounds, nor does it mention anything about you, because at that time, you didn't exist to that extent on YouTube. Huh, funny that. But don't worry, Jim Terry. Jimmy! Don't get your pants in a twist. There is always hope elsewhere. Let's have a look on TikTok. Yes, I know it's a degen place, but to be honest, your attention and retention span probably would apply better on TikTok because you can make judgments in a matter of seconds because the videos are shorter. Probably best suited for you and your brain capacity. But let's just go on to TikTok right now and see how many videos or the most viewed videos of mine did it have anything to do with Jim Terry. Let's just have a quick look right now. Well, here we are with some of the clips at the top. Unfortunately, there isn't a filter to adjust the videos, but at least the most viewed videos I've pinned on my channel page. So one of them, Kenny Veach, bullet hole found in a barrel, 16,000 views. The cave Kenny Veach avoided, it's got 41,000 views, and a Tom Clancy Rainbow Six Siege quad kill rampage gameplay got nearly 300,000 views. Does any of them incorporate Jim Terry? No. Sorry to disappoint you, Jim. That's just reality, okay? So just to respond back to a few more things by Jim Terry's silly comment, you know, first of all, observation-wise, we've looked at salty pancakes in the past, an individual that had the head proportions of a potato. Yes, I did place and cut and paste a potato on Pancake's head, and it did fit the dimensions. As for the cheeks, quite bloated, like a chipmunk with its mouth full of nuts. What type? Don't know. Were the nuts bursting with flavour? I don't know, you'll have to ask him. But Salty Pancake's face at the time could still apply now. Looked like he had his face down far too long in the pond of lucerne, became bloated, and then what happened, okay? And then we've made some other observations elsewhere, but we don't need to get into them. As for, you know, you got Ty Corbin on the sideline that has the chin like Thanos, okay? One click and it's game over. Tantrums everywhere, whinge whine, wah, and so on. But when it comes to Jim Terry, he has such a perplexed face at times, kind of follows the theme of the bloatedness in the face, whatever that might be. But I don't know, whether it be with the glasses on or off, the widened eyes like you're seeing something for the very first time, maybe it be a Satsuma or some kind of aubergine, I don't know, to be honest. But you just have that facial expression, as I said, of like a goldfish stuck in a fish bowl. There's no other way of really wording it, okay? Anyway, that aside, on a more serious note, so Jim Terry saying how Warlike Wrath is scared of going one-on-one with Jim Terry. First of all, is it going to be one-on-one? Likely not. Whether it be the Bitch Boy posse group in the background present, one-sided, or Mr. Impetuous on the sideline, that can happen too. And although it's deemed as a one-on-one, one person has more control over the other. If you're the host, the channel, or the platform you're on, you have the buttons and keys to mute somebody, to kick somebody off. Basically, a person could go onto your show, speak the truth, or just be realistic. You don't like that truth, so you mute the person or kick them off and then start telling a magical tale or story of a load of BS and a waste of time. All in all, a waste of time in general, okay? It's happened with other people. Other people have come on and said what they said, didn't get the chance to finish, or it just didn't work out because the other person wasn't willing to listen. As I said, once again, when you're dealing with people of a lower IQ, you're dealing with people more so with a significantly lower retention span, it's not worth involving yourself around those sort of people too long, because the longer you're around those type of people more closer in proximity, the more your IQ drops by the second, and I can't bother with that. In real life, humans I've come across that severely lack spatial awareness and much more. I sense and feel that degeneracy lurking upon me. Do I want that? No. I'm not going to allow that to happen. So we've got little reasons there. As for how I feel, do I feel scared of the one-on-one with Jim Terry? Not so much. I do feel an overwhelming sense of dread and a feeling of negativity in a sense of what good does it come to? Not much. That there's not much of a resolve. More so, of course, as demonstrated over time, what damage could it actually do to someone or to a channel? A lot. Possibilities endless. You think about it with time, almost everybody that has invited Jim Terry and maybe Mr. Impetuous onto their shows, most of those channels are no longer around. They've been terminated, they've been shut down. And then the others that have invited Jim Terry, Mr. X on, those channels are no longer the same because now they're in a slave program where they are in forever debt to Jim Terry, Mr. X because of being the foundations and how they were built from back then. So by involving yourself with those type of people, you end up being worse off down the line. If that's what you want, then that's what you do, but it's just not practical. More bad comes from it than good, okay? That's what I mean. To do with her IQ. It's to do with, caution, foreshadowing, looking at patterns, trends, statistics, okay? I guess the other thing is the way you were typing, Jim Terry, you were missing punctuation points, punctuation marks. Your spelling wasn't that great either. You know what the most embarrassing thing is, Jim Terry? And it can also apply to Mark Terry as well, who's supposedly got a major in English. A major? More of a major L? No, that's a bit too degenerate. That's from Fortnite. Let's not go there. But you combine Jim Terry and Mark Terry together when it comes to typing some kind of comprehensive sentence, which is a stretch to say the least. And yet in recent time, I came across someone that is blind that typed significantly better than those two individuals combined. That's embarrassing. It really says a lot there. Anyway, I think that explains that at least. In summary, Jim Terry feels entitled to be on every channel out there. Talk about panel whore, a panel hoe. I'm saying these words a bit weird because I know YouTube don't like certain words, okay? Jim Terry's getting all over the place, spreading like AIDS, just like Mr. X, but when it doesn't go their way, then there's a blockage. Whoa, this should not be happening. We've been able to do all this, but not this one. That's annoying. I can understand that frustration with time. But, is where it is at the end of the day. As said, Jim Terry, Mr. X, I've mentioned strengths, I've mentioned positive things, but I've also mentioned weaknesses as well. I've maintained balance, just like how I have with other humans, channels, groups out there. Simple as balance. Maybe it's something you don't quite understand. Once again, unfortunate. Make sure the glasses aren't tilted and, you might see things more clearer, okay? Anything else to highlight in between? One of those things where resistance can come from this, but once again, it is what it is. What will happen will happen. People don't like it, then people will show why they don't like it. It's just one of those things. Now, what we can move on to now is to do with Ty Corbin, more so Buster Bratimus. Going through those live chat last night because of all the comments, it was a handful, but Buster Bratimus did show up last night. Was it in support of Jim Terry? I don't think so. Was it more so in support of Ty Corbin? Yes. Was the video all about Ty Corbin last night? No. Where should I start? Well, let's just get right into it. So last night, Buster Bratimus acting as Gabriel the Messenger, Ty Corbin's personal representative, passing on a message, in a sense, depending how you interpret it, right, with the tone of voice and text, that in a sense, Buster Bratimus was expecting and demanding that Warlike Ref apologizes to Ty Corbin over the simple line of advising Ty Corbin to do some research in a different direction to develop a different point of view and understanding. Just because it was misunderstood at the time, taken as an insult, Ty Corbin dragged his head through a hedge and a bush, got in a bit of a mush, no hush, all wine, and not the liquid either. Yeah, and then started calling me out, calling me names, resorting to nicknames, leaving additional comments afterwards on my channel, on my videos, whining, complaining, name calling, back and forth. And that all came from the simple line of advising Ty Corbyn to look in a different direction because it might help his understanding, or it might just add a different perspective. That's all. Simply, it was taken the wrong way. And because of all that, now I'm in the situation where I have to apologise. When you look at the ratio and the balance, Ty Corbyn has done more negative stuff than what I supposedly have. How Ty Corbyn responded back to my sentence is kind of unnecessary, taken out of proportion, blown out of proportion for sure. You know, you see in the past when Ty Corbyn falsely labelled my video or two as clickbait, I didn't get into a massive huff and puff and blew the house down. It didn't lead to that. I just simply acknowledged saying, Ty Corbyn, okay, bit problematic that. You're aware that the video isn't clickbait, but if you look at the language and learn and pick up on it, then you get the idea. He eventually did. That was good of him. I acknowledged it at the time. Was it for a misunderstanding? Kind of, but it was more on themselves because they didn't understand the language and wording. If Ty Corbyn has a language barrier or vocabulary barrier, it's going to be problematic down the line, right? It's going to lead to continuous repetitiveness in conflict through misunderstanding. Is that problem on me or more so on them? Do they need a dictionary? Maybe. A thesaurus? Why not spice it up a little bit? Okay. I think just reverting back to the beginning of this, for Buster Bratamus, in a sense, to be a personal representative on behalf of Ty Corbyn, to demand and expect an apology from me is quite rich and hypocritical coming from Buster Bratamus, when in the past, Buster Bratamus as well, besides Ty Corbyn, falsely accused and labelled my video or videos as being clickbait. Serious accusation, turned out to be incorrect. Ty Corbyn eventually saw his ways and understood, but Buster Bratamus never apologised. So for Buster Bratamus to come on here demanding an apology when he himself never apologised in the past, it's very hypocritical, okay? Buster Bratamus, you're not in a position to talk regarding this type of stuff, okay? Simple as. Still continuously whinging, whining, lack of reasoning ability, lack of language and understanding. You know, seems to follow a pattern this when it comes to a certain set of people out there. Typical. As said, all in all, with Ty Corbyn, it's unfortunate he took it the wrong way, but it is what it is. Ever since, and even in the past, I still mentioned strengths as well, weaknesses with Ty Corbyn to maintain that balance. There's many people, just remember this, Buster, and Ty Corbyn as well if you're watching in the background, and even Jim Terry and Mark Terry, Mr. Impetuous. At the end of the day, there'll be many people out there that can't stand you type of people, okay? And they will not say anything positive about you. They'll just say negative stuff, label you, criticise you, insult you. But when it comes to me, despite all the prat-like behaviour by yourselves, I've still mentioned positives, I've still mentioned strengths besides the weaknesses, something no one else has demonstrated before. At least acknowledge that. It's a change for once, right? Maybe you're not used to that change, so it's hard to comprehend in here and pick up on. Maybe that's the sub-reason behind it, the root cause. You never know. But yeah, I mean, besides this one event which has spiralled out of control, which is very unnecessary, okay? Ty Corbyn has been problematic in the past. Verbal, whiny, etc. He's done it numerous times. Have I? No. So one has done it more than the other. Take that into consideration as well. This is the thing, Buster. Okay, certain allegiances lie elsewhere. That's understandable. You do what you do. You act loyal. That's fine, understandable. But you need to weigh up the factors before you start opening the mouth or the dog's mouth, whatever it is, as the profile picture, okay? And maybe it becomes a bit more understandable with time. Is that it for now? I think so, possibly. I mean, as for this video, I wanted to mainly share with you the comments, right? A lot of interesting talk recently, and a few prats showing up as well here and there. Just summarise it all into one video. It's from last night, incorporate it all. As for Ty Corbyn, still continues to whine on, insult me, men come out with all kinds of lines and comeback lines. Why? Why? I mean, is Ty Corbyn the type of individual that if you steal his little Happy Meal toy from his little Happy Meal burger box, that he's going to have a tantrum and flip the table and say, "Oh, I want my toy back. How could you take that from me? You're such a meanie." Is this what we're resorting to? Yeah, I think we will leave it there. As for next time, we probably do need to focus more and zero in on some of the comments to do with the Dylan Rounds case, as said, such as acknowledging Weezer's comments. There's a lot to take in, but as I said, eventually, when I can focus in on just one event at a time, I can map it out visually and then do the same with other stuff, and then eventually piece it all together, like how some people have already got it in their mindsets, and then, you know, just understand it better. Okay, there's a process behind it all, just like with everything else. Okay, so I think that summarizes it. I think the other end reality is, whilst this video does talk about Jim Tay, obviously this video will nowhere be getting anywhere near the amount of views as my videos in the past have, which had nothing to do with all these people. Is where it is. I'm covering what I'm covering right here, right now, because it's to do with Dylan Rounds, because the Dylan Rounds case needs to be kept alive, awareness needs to be spread. In addition, come across some good people with time, come across some consistent viewers as well. Obviously, the people that are showing support in different ways with material, their knowledge, their ideas, and even super chats shows one is in the right direction. It needs to be acknowledged, and by covering this stuff, which people watch, it's the least I can do. So why not do it? Yes, Kenny Veach and all of that out there. Yes, if there are updates, I will cover it. If it's breaking news, I will cover it. It's just not happening at this moment in time. It is what it is, okay? Just got to understand that. So I think we'll leave it there for now because of timing and everything. And hopefully you enjoyed the video, or at least has a better understanding of what's been talked about recently. If you do have any additional questions, be sure to list that down below in the comment section, and then we can take it from there. For now, goodbye, good night, I'll see you next time.